Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Li Cai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's program, more than 300 flood-affected families in Isoso in Bolivia received 12 tons of much-needed food and other necessities from Tzu. A group of Taiwanese Tzu volunteers who specialize in organic farming visit Indonesia to share their experiences and expertise. And later we learn about the intricacies of making Chinese calligraphy ink slabs as a master ink maker in Taiwan recounts the rise and fall of the industry. Our first report takes us to Bolivia, where incidents of heavy rain in March left many places inundated, like Isoso, an indigenous community more than 300 kilometers from the city of Santa Cruz. As the roads leading to the disaster-hit areas were cut off in many places, volunteers took more than 8 hours to reach the village, where around 320 flood-affected families were in need of aid. The volunteers handed out a total of 12 tons of relief supplies, giving the deprived villagers essential assistance. Tzu volunteers in Santa Cruz, Bolivia started their day before dawn for a relief distribution in Isoso, an indigenous community 364 kilometers away. Half of the journey takes place in the mountain, and some of the roads are muddy from days of downpour. One of the two cars carrying volunteers got stuck in the mud. At long last, the trapped car was pulled out, but that was just the start of a rough ride. After some 8 hours of rattling along mountain roads, volunteers finally reached their destination. More than 300 families in the village have been affected by the flood, with most of the victims being women, children and seniors. Volunteers distributed food, including rice, oil and flour, along with a first aid kit to every household.
Tzu volunteers use the money they collected in coin banks to buy the medication that you need, which have been packed into your first aid kit. I know that there isn't a lot of medication in the bag, but it will come in handy when you need it.
The volunteers brought around 12 tons of aid supplies. 3 days before the aid relief, village head Renee called together his people to help with the preparation of the handouts. Different quantities of rice are allocated to each household according to the number of people in the family.
Thank you for coming here to help us to find and answer our needs. I'm very moved.
The flood hit us hard. You have brought us so much food despite having to brave many roads that have been cut off by the disaster. On behalf of the village, I would like to thank you for your kindness.
Inspired by the volunteers' indomitable spirit to help, villagers also help distribute provisions, sharing the love with the entire community as they begin to rebuild their lives. Staying on the topic of aid relief by moving to the United States, the city of West Liberty in Morgan County, Kentucky was on March 2nd badly hit by a tornado. After carrying out a disaster assessment, Tzu volunteers from 4 states returned to organize the distribution of cash cards, blankets, daily necessities and coin banks for 82 households. Volunteers from Kentucky and 3 other states are here today in West Liberty to make the lives of those still suffering from the tornado's devastation a bit easier. One of Tzu's signature songs leaves Lily Pelfrey, herself a victim, in tears.
People that you come from such miles away in order to help people that you don't even know, and the song and the presentation that you put on, there's no one out there that I don't love. You know, that's the way we all are supposed to be.
For many of the volunteers, this is their first time taking part in an aid distribution. For Jasmine, who is a Tzu scholarship recipient, to be able to serve others has been a great feeling.
You feel it more. It's like, wow, this is really happening, you know? It could have been me, you know, and if it was me, who would have been there to help me? So I'm just happy that I'm able to become a part of this and help people.
$500 cannot buy a lot of things. but love always counts.
Although the items donated during this distribution are nothing fancy, they serve in reminding the disaster victims that they are not alone on the road to recovery. On Wednesday, April 4th, the people of Taiwan observed Tomb Sweeping Day by gathering with family members to honor their ancestors and departed loved ones with offerings, which often involves the burning of incense and paper money. Earlier this year, in January, DaAi Cemetery opened in Taipei's Yangming Mountain, giving people a different and greener choice to commemorate the day. At DaAi, no paper money or incense is used, and the cemetery building stands by its eco-friendly goal by installing a natural ventilation system instead of air conditioning.
Oh my goodness.
Every year on Tomb Sweeping Day in Taiwan, people arrive at the pagoda in Taipei's Fude Cemetery, burning joss paper that creates environmental hazards. The cars parked outside the graveyards are all covered in ashes, and the air around this area is also heavily polluted.
Moreover, the ashes may cause a fire if the wind blows strongly towards the grass area or people close by. Taipei's Mortuary Service Office decides to implement safety regulations.
From next year, we will implement a centralized incineration system and won't allow the public to burn joss paper on their own.
In Yangming Mountain, DaAi Cemetery has a different way of making offerings to the deceased. No joss paper or incense is burned here, thus setting a new example for Taiwanese people.
Families bring fresh flowers and fruit that will be gathered outside on the offering tables.
I think this is great. It promotes environmentalism.
The generation before us burned paper money. In the future, we should aim towards going green. Yes, the idea is very acceptable.
We are expecting the place to be filled up in 2016. There will be about 50,000 spaces available.
Today, more and more people opt to honor their ancestors and loved ones with a sincere prayer, which is helping to safeguard our planet at the same time.
In Bangkok, Thailand, the community of Sit Luang Pukao recently had a recycling day. Many local residents, old and young, came early in the morning with their paper and plastic as well as filled up bamboo coin banks. This time the money collected came to a total of 3,829 Thai baht or $123, an amount the donors would like to contribute to support students in need.
In Bangkok, the community of Sit Luang Pukao is holding a recycling day. Residents bring recyclable items and fill bamboo bank to the recycling site. Some residents even bring a trolley full of recyclables. Seeing the ingenious uses of a trolley, a volunteer pushes it to collect recyclables around the community.
We can only receive a little money when we sell the recyclables, but if we donate the money to Tzu Chi, we can help others in need and cultivate blessings for ourselves.
The children listen carefully while a volunteer explains the importance of recycling and how to recycle items. After the explanation, children also join their parents in recycling.
Today I came here to help with the recycling, to slow down global warming and help others in need.
After a day of hard work, volunteers collect 163 kilograms of recyclables along with over 3,000 baht in donation. The local residents say they would like to donate the money to the New Shoot Scholarship Program to help underprivileged students stay in school.
On the topic of the new shoot scholarships in Malaysia, Tzu Chi started supporting Chinese Malaysian children from low-income families in 1997. Previously, volunteers would mail schools information about the scholarships or personally call on the schools to meet the aid recipients and give them encouragement. This year, Tzu Chi held its first ever public briefing session on the program. Principals and teachers from schools in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur attended to learn about Tzu Chi and the opportunities for non-Chinese language schools. Through our charity work, we learned about the large number of children living in poverty.
This year, for the first time, the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur Selangor branch invited principals and teachers to attend the 2012 New Shoots Scholarship Information Session. A total of 106 educators eagerly attended.
This pendidikan bantuan very helping for me or my school. When people give anything, they feel they are big, they never give respect. But these people, they give money, they give everything, they respect me. I feel we must do something for this kind of people.
We are honored to work with Tzu Chi to share this great love.
After 4 years of student aid, a strong relationship has been established between Tzu Chi and the schools. The New Shoot Scholarship Program will assist further school development and help children fully develop their bodies, minds, and spirits.
We can support, for example, students who need food, transportation, or improved facilities.
The scholarship program also aims to help properly cultivate moral character.
Before, I always thought it was students who didn't want to cooperate. But now, reading Jin's aphorisms have taught me to look at myself first before pointing fingers.
It is hoped that the close cooperation between Tzu Chi and the schools will continue to help many more underprivileged children.
Recently, a team of 5 Tzu Chi volunteers from Taiwan who specialize in organic farming were invited by the chairperson of Indonesia's National Federation of Rural Cooperatives to his home country to visit some of the local farms that have been implementing natural farming techniques. The exchange has given Indonesia's agricultural authorities new ideas for improving the livelihood of local farmers. A team of 5 Tzu Chi volunteers traveled to an agricultural region in Bandung in West Java to review local farming developments. In January last year, Herman Y.L. Wooten, the chairperson of Indonesia's National Federation of Rural Cooperatives, paid a courtesy call to Master Zheng Yan in Taiwan. In the meeting, Mr. Wooten expressed a keen interest in Tzu Chi's organic farming methods, and upon returning home, he applied what he had learned in Taiwan.
Tzu Chi's agricultural mission is currently focused on getting farms to produce their own compost naturally, rather than using synthetic fertilizer or pesticide.
1 year after Mr. Wooten implemented organic farming techniques on local farms, he invited Tzu Chi volunteers to inspect the results that, if positive, could help local farmers generate more income.
In places where there is a high unemployment rate, we can carry out organic farming to help create job opportunities and improve the quality of life. We will do a thorough assessment on the facts and figures we've gathered here. I believe the information will help us with our poverty alleviation work in Indonesia.
Organic farming is all about growing produce with the least impact on the environment. It is hoped that the exchanges between the National Federation of Rural Cooperatives and Tzu Chi will help Indonesian farmers improve their agricultural performance. In today's feature on Taiwan's sunset industries, we meet the last master ink maker in the country. Pressure from cheap Chinese imports means there's only one local ink maker left. Here's Mr. Chen Jiade. Unable to compete in the student market, these days, Mr. Chen makes top quality ink blocks using only the best raw materials. But the work is still hot and hard on the hands. Mr. Chen says he wants to pass the skills down to his son so that the tradition of ink making can continue to leave its mark in Taiwan. Calligraphy brush, ink, paper, and inkstone, 4 treasures of Chinese culture. Of the 4, ink may look like the simplest, but is in fact the hardest to make. After graduating from elementary school, Taiwan's one and only ink master, Chen Jiade, settled in Taipei, where he became an apprentice to an expert ink maker originally from Fuzhou in China. In just 3 years and 4 months, Chen went from student to master.
The most important thing is to get the proportions right. If you don't mix them right, it'll affect the quality of the ink.
Chen Jiade uses only the best raw materials: cowhide glue from the US, musk from France, and pine soot from Germany. The perfect mix for pine soot ink took him 6 months of research.
In summer, mixing ink is worse than a monsoon. I sweat all the time until the floor is wet. The sweat keeps flowing. It's very hot, about 40 to 50 degrees inside.
Freshly mixed ink is still soft and sticky and needs to be pressed firm to turn it into a lump of the right consistency. Kneading the ink is where the master's skill really comes into play. To knead a ball of ink, the master has to work quickly and precisely, otherwise the lump will go hard in a little over 10 minutes.
Kneading it like this is to smooth out the lumps and make it shiny on the outside so it won't crack when it dries. This is how it's made by hand. It's handmade ink. My hands are used to it. A big one like this is harder to make. The bigger it is, the harder it is to knead. You must have skill. It takes skill to make a block like this.
This row of shiny black sticks, which give off a faint smell of perfume, are all top-of-the-range pine soot ink. However, Chen Jiade did not always make high-quality ink. He started on ordinary blocks for students.
When I made student ink before, business was very good. There was an export and a domestic market, but domestic demand alone was too high. I hired a dozen helpers to make 10,000 a day.
However, when cross-strait trade opened up, Taiwan's student ink could not compete with Chinese imports.
There are a lot of mainland ink makers, scores of them. Mainland ink is all student ink, like mine, but it's too cheap as dirt. Mainland-made ink isn't sold to other places, it's all exported to Taiwan.
Chen Jiade had no choice but to switch from cheap student ink to upmarket pine soot ink. Later, he diversified to make round and pillar-shaped slabs and even ink blocks embossed with his own palm print.
What's special about it is when people want a shape. When visitors come, they like the shapes the master makes. When they buy one, they think it has value because it has the master's handprint on it.
When talking about his handiwork, Chen Jiade's face lights up. But on the topic of how his skills are going to be handed down, he becomes downcast.
In this business, young people today, if you want them to quietly hide away here, these days no one wants to do that. They want to go out and get contacts or work in offices with more people. In this business, you work like a hermit. You can't put a modern young person here. So when they come to learn, they can't stick it out.
That's why the heavy responsibility of carrying on the tradition of handmade ink has fallen on the shoulders of the master's son, Chen Juntian.
When people talk about me, I can't sleep 2-3 days out of 3. I can't take all the pressure, but I haven't thought about giving up, only about escaping, quitting, and finding a better job.
Thankfully, with the encouragement and guidance of calligraphy experts, Chen Juntian learned to deal with the pressure of following in his father's footsteps.
I treat this job as a challenge, to challenge myself. The harder it is, the more I like it. That's what it's like. If I go back to my old notes, I believe I'll do better in the future.
In the tiny workshop less than 50 square meters in size, no matter how tiring and dirty the job gets, the father and son say they will keep making Taiwan's calligraphy ink. Staying in Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers from China's Beijing and Hebei and Shandong provinces visited the Jingsi Hall in Zhonghe and the Tzu Chi chapter in Banqiao. The visitors hope, through the exchange of ideas with their Taiwanese counterparts, they can help spread Tzu Chi's wisdom and spirit further when they return home.
North China Tzu Chi volunteers are visiting the Banqiao chapter in Taipei. A volunteer uses the word greedy to explain that wasting food is also a kind of greed.
After today's lesson, now I understand it is very good to eat 80% full and give 20% to help others. I still have much to improve.
The next stop is a recycling station. Shuanghe district volunteers share their experiences with the North China volunteers.
Since Beijing has only just started, there are areas of improvement. I hope more local bodhisattvas can come back to our spiritual home and learn together.
The North China volunteers copy down notes while sharing their opinions. They hope when they go home they can spread Tzu Chi's Dharma further.
120 teachers from Tzu Chi academies in LA, Irvine, St. Dimas, and Las Vegas in the United States came together for their annual training seminar. Apart from sharing their teaching experiences, the educators also hope to cultivate themselves spiritually. But before that, we joined the director of the Tzu Chi USA headquarters, Huang Hankui, on his trip to the Dallas Tzu Chi chapter as a speaker at a one-day retreat.
Before every training seminar, volunteers at the Dallas Tzu Chi chapter read the 10 precepts as a way to remind themselves to abide by the rules. Tzu Chi US headquarters director Huang Hankui is here to share his experiences with his fellow counterparts.
We do many good deeds, but we did not grow in wisdom. Why is that? Because we still carry many bad habits, and it's hard to get rid of these bad habits.
Volunteers not only share their experiences with each other, but also chant Buddhist scriptures together in hopes of gaining wisdom and cultivating their blessings.
This green dragon is made by the St. Dimas Tzu Chi Academy School. Please give us a round of applause.
The children often remind their parents about using too much water and to turn off the tap. They all say they're the children of the planet.
Meanwhile, in Tzu Chi US headquarters, 120 teachers from Tzu Chi Academy schools in Los Angeles, Irvine, St. Dimas, and Las Vegas came together for an annual teachers training seminar. Global volunteer coordinator Huang Shixian also gives words of encouragement.
Religion is like wisdom education. The Chinese character of the word religion means direction and a way of doing things. That's what religion is all about.
Through the study of the water repentance text, teachers hope to inspire their students to walk the right path in life.
Finally today, we're back in Taiwan for the first ever fire drill at the Luzhou Jingsi Hall, where volunteers carried out the procedures with expert instruction by the firefighters. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.